Dangote urges federal government to fully scrap fuel subsidy. Experts warn of disease outbreak, malnutrition and healthcare crisis after Maiduguri flood. 3 injured in Abuja as oil tanker crashes into Sienna vehicle. And on the foreign scene, Russia rejects United Nations Pact for the Future proposal. Good afternoon and welcome to the news update on Trust Television. I'm Aisha Salihu. The news in detail. The President and Chief Executive Officer of the Dangote Group, Aliko Dangote, has urged the federal government to end fuel subsidies completely. Speaking in a 26-minute interview with Bloomberg Television in New York on Monday, African richest man said the time is right to end subsidies which have gulped trillions of naira from the country's coffers. According to him, the removal would assist in determining the country's actual consumption. His advice follows the recent commencement of petrol lifting from the Dangote refinery and price increment to 950 naira per litre in Lagos State and its environs and above 1,000 naira in the north. He stated that fuel production from his refinery will help ease pressures on the naira and also confirmed ownership of 2 oil blocks in the upstream sector with an expected production date of next month. Meanwhile, the federal government and the Dangote refinery have reached an agreement for the supply of 12 million barrels of crude oil to the facility in October. The arrangement falls under the Crude Oil for Naira deal, a strategic partnership between the Dangote Group and the Nigerian government. Aliko Dangote, Chief Executive Officer of the Dangote Refinery, confirmed this development during an interview with Bloomberg TV in the U.S. According to him, the crude oil supply is part of an ongoing agreement with the federal government to enable the refinery to process crude locally and produce petrol, diesel and jet fuel for the domestic market. He noted that it will help bring 50 to 60% of currently non-operational filling stations back into service, drastically improving access to fuel across the country. In the same vein, oil marketers have assured Nigerians of a drop in prices of premium motor spirit or petrol once they start direct lifting of products from the Dangote refinery. The assurance came after a rise in prices of products following commencement of product lifting by the state oil company NNPCL from Dangote refinery. Prices of petrol had shot up to 950 naira per litre in Lagos State and its environs, while consumers in the north pay as much as 1,000 naira per litre for the product. Spokesperson for the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, Chinedu Ukadike, on Tuesday said marketers are now in discussion with the refinery for a possible direct lifting of petrol. According to him, the liberalization of the market is on course because there is no way Dangote refinery will be producing petrol in Nigeria without considering Ipman as one of its strategic stakeholders. And to the devastating effects of the flood in some parts of the country, the outbreak of diseases such as malaria and other waterborne illnesses in flood-hit areas of Maiduguri has raised alarm among health experts responding to the ongoing humanitarian crisis. According to the latest figures from the state government, between 1.5 million to 2 million residents have been affected, with approximately 400,000 people displaced. Trustee Sagir Ibrahim has been on the ground tracking the aftermath and providing updates on the situation. Take a look.
Dr. Bashir Mohammed, a medical activity manager at Médecins Sans Frontières, raised concerns about a possible rise in waterborne and other illnesses due to the living conditions of some of those affected.
When you go to those camps, the first thing you notice is that those people do not have good latrines, and also safe drinking water may not be enough in some of the camps. The week before the flood, we've seen just around less than 300 admissions in a week. But after that, the week after the flood, we've seen at least 100 more cases being admitted. We've seen patients presenting with diarrheal diseases. We might not say definitely it's cholera, but there are signs and symptoms suggesting that.
He also alerted of a possible rise in cases of malnutrition.
This is a period of the year which we expect decline in the number of cases of malnutrition. But unfortunately, we're seeing increase now again. And this can be directly linked to the flood because people do not have probably food to eat, and the children are not getting the required food and nutrient for them to grow.
Due to the impact of the flood on health facilities, the medical experts revealed that several women suffered complications.
Women were not able to access the healthcare facilities to immunize their children. We had women who were trapped in the community that went into labor, and at the point of labor, there was no skilled birth attendants that attended to these women. We've had women who delivered on their own, and because of bleeding, they were rushed here, and at the point which they presented, the blood level was already low.
Access to sexual and reproductive health care for women is also a matter of significant concern. Many displaced women now living in makeshift camps around the state capital have reported a lack of privacy and inadequate facilities for proper disposal of used sanitary material, which only adds to their struggle.
We go back to our communities, where we will stay. This place is untidy and unhygienic. It's the same place that you will sleep, that someone will pee and even defecate. It is also filled with mosquitoes. We are also scared of cholera. Some of us will want to change or dispose of the sanitary materials, but there is no privacy.
The experts called for more support to address the pressing health needs of the displaced population. With the looming threat of disease outbreaks, malnutrition, and insufficient access to healthcare, particularly for women and children, efforts to restore health facilities and provide essential services are critical as the affected persons try to recover from the devastating flood's impact. From Maiduguri, the Borno State capital, Sagir Ibrahim for Trust TV News.
People's Democratic Party has rejected the outcome of Saturday's governorship election in Edo State, alleging brazen rigging in the poll. The acting national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Umar Damagun, at a press conference on Monday, said the party will explore all legal and democratic means to retrieve the stolen mandate of its candidate, Asue Igodalo. The report.
Damagun stated that the result did not meet the minimum standard for democracy, having not reflected the expressed will as an aspiration of the people in line with the provisions of the Electoral Act 2022 and INEC guidelines for state governorship election. He demanded that INEC should, within the time stipulated by Section 65 of the Election Act 2022, review the Edo governorship election and announce results only as obtained from the genuine voters cast at the polling units. The acting national chairman, however, called on all Nigerians and lovers of democracy all over the world to stand up in solidarity with the people of Edo State in rejecting the assault on the democratic rights of the people as witnessed in the Edo State governorship election.
The PDP therefore unequivocally rejects the final result of the Edo State governorship election as declared by INEC, as it did not meet the minimum standard for democracy, having not reflected the express will and aspiration in line with the provision of the Electoral Act 2022 and INEC guidelines for state governorship election. The PDP charges the people of Edo to remain resolute and undeterred as our party takes sure and firm steps to retrieve the mandate with every means legal and available in a democracy.
The PDP further charged the people of Edo State to remain resolute and undeterred as our party takes sure and firm steps to retrieve the mandate with every means legal and available in a democracy.
Justice Binta Nyako of the Federal High Court, Abuja, has said she is going to rescue herself from Nnamdi Kanu's case. She made the statement after Kanu asked her to rescue herself from his case since she had refused to obey the Supreme Court's order, adding that he had lost confidence in the court. She spoke out at the open court during the resumption of his trial on Tuesday. Justice Binta Nyako then replied that she would be happy to recuse herself from the trial and had no problem with his request. She said she would be sending the case file back to the chief judge for reassignment and further necessary actions. Kanu then vehemently ordered his counsel, Aloy Ejimako, to sit down while he stood up from the dock to address Justice Nyako. Kanu has since been in the custody of the Department of State Services on the order of the Federal High Court, Abuja. The National Bureau of Statistics has stated that 5.4%, over 6 million of Nigerians are under the working age population, are unemployed in the year 2023. Recall that the NPS had last year adopted a new methodology for its labor survey, defining those that are in the labor force to be 15 and above that are willing, available and able when the survey is conducted. In a press statement to announce the publication of the 2023 annual and Quarter 1 2024 Nigeria Labor Force Survey results on Tuesday, the NPS said 116.6 million, representing 53.8% of the total population, are in the working age group. The statement, signed by the NBS Director of Communications and Public Relations, Sunday Jedi, said women accounted for 52% of this population, with men at 48%, while noting that 76.3%, equivalent to 88.9 million individuals, participated in the survey. It said Bauchi State recorded the highest participation rate at 92.3%, while Ekiti State had the lowest at 63.4%. In response to a fire outbreak resulting from the collision of a tanker fully loaded with premium motor spirit and a Toyota Sienna Space bus at Imani roundabout in Maitama, Abuja on Monday at about 7:50 p.m., the FCT Police Command said it swiftly mobilized police patrol teams from Maitama, Wuse and Central Police Station alongside operatives of the Federal Fire Service to the scene to possibly rescue victims and extinguish the fire. While no fatality was recorded, 3 persons were injured and immediately rushed to Maitama District Hospital for medical attention. The situation is now under control as the combined efforts of the police and fire service personnel was enough to curtail and extinguish the fire. This is the news update coming to you live from Trust TV studios in the nation's capital, Abuja. Still to come. We'll take a look at how one man's leap into fish farming redefined success. More news when we return. Do stay with us. It's nice to have you join us again. Let's take a look at some of our top stories. Dangote urges federal government to fully scrap fuel subsidy. Experts warn of disease outbreak, malnutrition and healthcare crisis after Maiduguri flood. And to other stories, the push to finalize an education policy document in Adamawa State has advanced, with stakeholders convening for validation meetings to review the drafted copy. The Ministry of Education and Human Capital Development, in collaboration with the Center for Advocacy, Transparency and Accountability Initiative, is working to adapt the national education policy to the state-specific needs. Gibson Swadigo reports from Yola.
The first phase was the analysis and assessment, where, of course, we laid our hands on the
lead consultant of the Center for Advocacy, Transparency and Accountability Initiative presented an insightful overview of the draft Adamawa State education policy to stakeholders gathered at the banquet hall Government House, Yola. Supported by the Malala Fund, the project aims to localize the national education policy, positioning Adamawa as a front-runner in the education reform. In his address, Dr. Umar Garba Bella, Commissioner of Education and Human Capital Development, emphasized the collaborative efforts of stakeholders in shaping the draft over 3 months. He highlighted how well-crafted policy documents served as crucial drivers of development across all sectors.
So what we are about to present today for validation, Your Excellency, is a document, is a draft that was presented first by the consultant, interrogated thoroughly by the team, and every other thoughts taken into consideration, and that is what we are presenting today for every stakeholder in the state for validation.
Stephen Medugu, the focal person of Nigeria's Education Emergency Working Group and the UNICEF representative, congratulated Adamawa State for the achievement, emphasizing how strategic the education policy will guide the state in promoting and delivering quality education.
It's simply telling us that the state has rolled out the policy in a concise manner. So come and key into it.
For us at UNICEF, we are very happy to see this policy coming into state, and we are going to key in to support the state to reduce the number of out-of-school children through working with different partners.
Governor Manuel Fintri, represented by his deputy, Professor Kaleta Pofarauta, reiterates their commitment to supporting the project to succeed and ensure implementation when completed.
Institutionalization of policies is a deliberate action that this government is taking, not only in education, but especially in education because it's a priority area. And that is why we are here today, so that when all of us are working, especially for those of us who are in the education area, we will have a guide.
The highlight was a technical session where stakeholders reviewed the drafted document. Gibson Soadugo, Trust TV News, Yola.
While many graduates chase after elusive white-collar jobs, Bello Muhammad, a former banker, chose a different route, trading his suit for overalls. He leveraged his banking expertise to dive into fish farming. Bello's bold move has paid off, bringing unexpected financial success. His journey is a powerful reminder of the untapped potential in Nigeria's agricultural sector. Trust TV's Bello Musa has more.
After years in banking, Bello Muhammad grew disillusioned with the corporate grind, searching for a more fulfilling path. He turned to fish farming. Armed with his financial expertise, he applied sound management principles to his new venture, transforming it into a thriving business.
You are a salary earner, and looking at the economy, looking at the growth of population, looking at advantages that are out there, I decided to just quit and build my own business so that other people will benefit. Because what I think is, when I'm working with a company, when I'm working with a government, I'm a liability to them. So I want some people to be liability to me.
Despite challenges, his farm has become a model of success in his community.
With this population growing, and we are having shortage of food, we are having shortage of protein intake, so I think there is need for us. I think there is need for us to engage in protein production.
Despite facing challenges like access to funding and investment planning in the early stages of his business, Bello Muhammad urged young people to start with whatever resources they have. His story proves that perseverance and smart planning can lead to success even in the face of obstacles.
There is no limit in capital base. I can start with 10 million. Somebody can start with 100,000. And we are still in the same industry. So the person that have 100,000 have a place in the industry to play. Somebody that has 10 million has a role to play in the industry.
Limited knowledge of farming practice, climate and market fluctuations are some of the challenges of fish production in the north.
Almost 70%, or let's say almost 65% of people facilitating or people putting other people on fish farming track are quacks. They are no experts. Some, they don't even have farm. They are just roadside fish sellers.
Bello Muhammad's journey illustrates how unconventional career paths can pave the way to financial independence and personal fulfillment. His story inspires others to explore alternative opportunities, challenging the belief that white-collar jobs are the only path to success. Bello Musa, Trust TV News Kaduna.
Away from Nigeria, Russia has declined to support a United Nations blueprint aimed at bringing the world's increasingly divided nations together to tackle 21st century challenges from climate change and artificial intelligence to escalating conflicts and increasing inequality and poverty. Speaking on Monday in New York at the Summit of the Future meeting, Russian Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs Sergei Vershinin said that the summit's outcome documents do not impose any obligations on the Russian Federation under provisions which did not achieve consensus. The United Nations General Assembly approved the blueprint Sunday. The 42-page Pact for the Future challenges leaders of the now 193 United Nations member nations to turn promises into real actions that make a difference to the lives of the world's more than 8 billion people. The pact was adopted at the opening of the two-day Summit of the Future called by UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres.
Russia has taken the most active part at the very beginning in crafting the pact for the future. We were not only governed solely by our national interest, but we also pursued the priorities of the global majority. Our delegation was constructive in its approach and opened the dialogue in the interest of compromise. Despite this, the final version of the pact and its addendums still contains non-consensus and unacceptable elements.
Simply preserving the status quo is not an option. The United States is committed to adapting the UN system to reflect this world of today and tomorrow, not the one that existed in 1945. But we are and we will remain resolutely opposed to revisionism. We will not accept efforts to tear down, dilute, or fundamentally alter the core principles of the UN Charter: sovereignty, territorial integrity, independence. We will continue to affirm that no member state has the right to redraw borders by force or repress their own people. We'll continue to oppose the idea that nations can assert spheres of influence or dictate who other countries ally or partner with.
And finally, in sports, Libya has appointed Nasser El Haderi as their new national team head coach. The Libya Football Federation recently sacked Serbian Milutin following the Mediterranean Night's poor start to the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations qualifying series. The North Africans are bottom of Group D after recording just 1 point from 2 games. Al-Hadri will be assisted by Abubakar Al-Harak, while Misbah Shangab will be the goalkeeper coach. The new gaffer previously held by the position of assistant coach to Spaniard Javier Clemente in the Libyan national team in 2014. And that brings us to the end of the news update. Do not forget, you can always follow us across all of our social media platforms and also join our YouTube live stream from our news programs and documentary. I'm Aisha Salihu. Thank you so much for watching.